recognition of their achievements and contributions to the country. Happy Women's Day.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Good morning and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. Welcome to the Extra. I'm Robert Chirabonyonyitono in case you have just joined, but we are always here from 6:30 to kickstart your day. Now this morning I have a very interesting guest, a man who has been in education of this country in the private sector, but also one that many people will talk about. Could I call it maltaxing? He's a unique professor of his own, I must say, because for the time I've known the guest I'm going to be introducing to you, he has broken what we used to know as a professor. I must say, this was a person who would be 27 in books, so complicated, very rigid, but he's a sportsman, he's in entertainment, and he's very perfect in education. So if you knew the other old professor we have, now would I say this is a .com professor, if I may use that word? You know, he's broken that. But I am going to be discussing how to make university education competence-based, because we've seen our government through the Ministry of Education and Sports. First, it was the lower secondary curriculum, where they were seeing how best can we make it competent-based. Away from cramming, that if a person stopped at senior 4, there's something they can do, they can solve a problem. Now, we are moving in the A level that started, but also government has been able to bring that competence-based. Now, where is the problem? Now, when we come to university, most of the times we've been told that our universities produce students or university graduates who do not have the skills needed for work. They are more theoretical. Now with A-level is bringing practical students. That a person graduates, and literally, if you're to employ them, you have to take them through everything, even work ethics. And people tell you, but your graduates, there are many, but they're not employable. Now, join me, welcome Professor Lawrence, who happens to be the Vice Chancellor, Victoria University. It's been a long time, Professor, but welcome.
Yeah, Robert, thank you very, very much. And it's a pleasure being on UBC again today after a very, very long time, actually, I should say. I think this is the first time in 2025,
yes.
Right? Yeah, but I enjoy being here. Good morning, Ugandans. And if I didn't get a chance on camera to wish you a happy new year, this is the opportunity. May God really help you navigate this 2025 and you achieve every desire that you harbor on your heart, because we have so many desires, but only God and our hard work can take us where we need to be. So yes, have the ultimate faith. It is very, very necessary. We came from somewhere. We don't exist by accident. We were created by God. But also, he told us that he has given us everything. To those who, of course, really read the Bible, you're welcome to read John 14:12. Okay? Clearly, he tells you, you simply have to believe. And if you believe, you'll do everything Christ has done or even greater things. If you go down there, 13, he will tell you that, ask in my name. If your job is to simply ask. Okay, so we have a God that listens, but we have to also work hard. We have to think better. We have to think new. In this world that is really, really running so fast, we have to be better people. So 2025 is a year for all of us. Let's get it going.
Now, Professor, going back to our education, where we've seen O-level, A-level being worked upon to ensure that we have better students who have the skills. Now, we come to university, and here it seems the chain is kind of going to be broken. how best can we improve this? It hurts to hear people say that you have very many graduates, but they lack the skills to employ them. So you're the people that handle these students at university.
So thank you, Robert. You started very well. That I don't know your description of me as a professor.
The professor we know,
yes.
the professor I knew at university was different when I met you.
And let me tell you,
these are bookworms.
Yeah, let me tell you, sometimes I have actually, I don't fancy being even called a professor, because every time they call you a professor, the stereotype goes to the traditional professor. And to me, I still think, with all due respect, that we, the professors, we are the #1 cause of the problems we are. Of course, not everything, but most of the problems we have in our country, because we are knowledgeable. We are supposed to be experienced. We are supposed to really generate different perspectives. We are supposed to think for the country. We are supposed to tell Ugandans and the world the truth, but most of us don't. And at the end of the day, we are in a situation where we are in. And I find that unacceptable. So we have to do better. If you have to be a professor, be a professor of impact, not a professor of a credential just because you published as many articles in reputable journals somewhere, and you have published a book. You have also taught people who are seated in front of you in a classroom and supervised other people's dissertations, of which they are lying somewhere down in the library. So that is useless. We can do better as professors. So that title, I navigate it with caution, okay? And I want to bring life to it. I want to be a professor of impact, not a professor who, people who move around wanting to be called professors, and if you don't add the PROF before their names, then they will never listen to you. No, I am not that kind of person, okay? So we are privileged, and we should thank God that we have earned that status. But there is a reason why we are that. We are supposed to use it to better society. Now, and that time, even if I left this world, I'll go down satisfied that I have added value to my country. So now coming to what you have just talked about. Now, it is true, and I've always told people, if there is one great thing this government and the Minister of Education has ever done to this country, is the introduction of competence-based education. Forget everything else. Forget UPE, forget USE. Those were supposed to be here anyway, only that they delayed. But CBE, competence-based education, is the #1 thing a Ugandan parent and your child, they have ever gotten as a gift that is going to transform lives in this country. Now, we have it in lower secondary. I pray that it is also really stretched downwards, okay, in primary, okay, and now also stretched upwards in high school, secondary school, upper secondary, and then in the university, okay. Now, in universities, honestly, government does not, again, that is where we come in. Government doesn't have to teach us how to implement a CBE model because we understand it. We know that the world we live in today, honestly, the days of you simply knowing something, they take you back to the 1990s. That's when maybe for shortage of manpower and human resources, you could have gotten something to do. Today, it is not that, it is not right. You cannot get what to do. And if you're looking for an example, look at our young people that are graduating from several higher education institutions. Why? Because they crammed things in their heads and they were asked to bring them back in something called an exam.
Just if they can recall.
Yeah, recall, remember them. So we are universities of remembering, okay, not doing. Yet the country needs doers. The country needs innovators. The country needs thinkers. The country needs problem solvers. The country needs transformers. Okay, not theorists. So therefore, the opportunity we have is competency-based education. To the viewers who may even want to know, what does it even mean? Okay, this is learning. If I have to put it clearly, it is learning that does not, and mark my words carefully, learning that does not rely on how much time you sit in a classroom. No. Okay? It's not how much time you spend in a classroom, but how like the competencies and the mastery you acquire of a particular subject. Okay? In other words, it is through learning by doing, you master something, and then you are asked to prove what you have mastered by showcasing particular competencies and skills. So now, what a better education model. You have mastered something, but for you to prove that you're a master of that subject, then you have to show us particular competencies. That I, Lawrence Muganga, can do this. And if you doubt, ask Robert. He will tell you that I've written this report. He will tell you that I've repaired ABCD. He will tell you that I actually communicated to these people and convinced them to open up an account in this bank and move their money to this bank. So you did something. You don't know something, you do something. You mastered something. You have particular competencies, proficiencies, and the skills, and the experience, a package. So the head is aware, the heart is aware, the hands are aware. Competence-based education, not how much time you sit in a classroom.
Now, Professor, how do we get to that at university level, where I remember one time in class, I remember we even had a lecturer who would tell you that for me, as long as you attend, when I look at your paper, I'll even give you extra mark because you're constantly attending. If you weren't making my average, if I looked at your paper and I'm like, this person never misses class, at least I would give you maybe a 5 extra points that you get to that minimum.
Okay, that is, again,
so much time at university in class.
Now that is also contextual. Like you can contextualize it. Okay, what are you doing in that classroom? Okay, it could be scenario one that you are my lecturer, you are in front of us, and you're dictating notes. Or you're running through slides, PowerPoints.
That is exactly what
go around so many universities. You'll find professors and teachers, lecturers, senior lecturers, and are happy to run through slides, PowerPoint presentations, and the students are busy following. You understand? So that is scenario one. But there could also be scenario two, where you have to come in class, but fellow students have researched things, different things, and understood them, and now they are going to share with other students what they have learned. Now that is a different story. Okay? One, while you did research, you're doing, you have gotten research skills. Number two, you have put together a report. Okay, now that is report writing. Okay, or paper writing, you have written something, and then you have also rehearsed and learned how to present, and then you have come and stood in front of everyone and you have presented, and you have convinced people. Those are the skills, soft skills, and others that are needed in the real world. You have worked with a team, even in the classroom you are still working with other team members. So that's another scenario. Okay, so now of the two, which one do you choose? If I was the teacher leading, not teaching, okay, not even leading, if I'm leading, okay, that module or that course, I am the coordinator of these students. I coordinate their learning. I guide their learning. But I allow them to lead the process. I allow them to find knowledge. I allow them to create knowledge. I allow them to solve problems. I allow them to team up. I allow them to consult. I allow them to agree and disagree and then come to a common understanding. Those are the skills we need in the real world. So you understand. So not one person who really is not better than what we see on YouTube is going to stand in front of us, and then he's going to tell us that I am the most knowledgeable person, hear from me and take what I'm telling you. That is not right. It's not acceptable. Think of this situation, Robert and our viewers. Sometimes we just need to ask hard questions. In this day and age, is it right for us, say for example, let's pick some different courses, say Introduction to Economics, to have 2,000 people in this country teaching Introduction to Economics. In every university you may find 10 teaching the same content.
Yes.
In another university, same content. Another university, same content. Is it really right? Is it a resource-saving model? In this day and age where we have technology, why can't we have one great economist in our country teach Introduction to Economics? One, recorded, okay, with the technology we have. Then uploaded on YouTube, for example, and all universities can share from that. So do you know how much money you have saved as a country? And then you can have tutors, you can have teaching assistants to answer a few questions in case students are not conversant with a few terminologies or anything. So it tells you that the situation we are in is intentional. No one wants to take us out of that place. Going back to what I told you, the professorship that is not helping us. You understand? That is common sense.
But one would say, Professor, that this is the structure of our university education. One, spending so much time in class. If you're an evening student, you have those many hours. Two, this is how things have been done over and over. Three, sometimes you ask yourself that how do we introduce this? I'll just give you a brief background. Our viewer, I visited out of curiosity. I have a friend who told me about what happens at Victoria University. So one time, I was discussing with this young lady. She told me I'm going for, first I questioned her, do you really go to university or you're just deceiving? Why? Because I knew the schedule of a university student. And her schedule was quite complicated, I must say. So I was like, but musoma na mwe obate musoma. Two, she clearly never had books. So I asked, but for sure, which kind of university? I don't see you with coursework. And she simply had something as tiny as this. Say, but everything I need is here.
Correct.
And that's when I'm reading a few things that hostel is when I can get paper. Said, look, you can't tell me you're going to class with a bag and only is it a laptop, something that, you know, very small. So psychologically, even manual, that is not education. Now the changes you want to bring seem very hard to understand and to appreciate.
I have wrote because they are there.
Okay, yes, which are
because they are working. Now, let me tell you, and I'm going to give you two scenarios, and our dear viewers, two scenarios. It's up to you to choose from. Okay? While it is okay for us to keep the status quo, where the structure remains how it was, and the teachers are still teaching the way they used to teach. In other words, everything remains the same. There is actually, I had one person, two people said two things that were really so touching to me in a way, that the situation we are in the education sector today is that you find people in universities or even other levels of education using grandparents' strategies, okay, to solve the problems of grandchildren. Do you understand?
You just reminded me when I was in school, there are some pamphlets we used to read.
Yes.
Like, if this didn't come this year, this last came in this year, so every after 10 years it's likely
returning.
to.
So you're using great-grandparents and grandparents' techniques, methodologies, strategies to solve the problems of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. That is a miss. It is unfortunate. So that is one. That's keeping the status quo. Number two, you also know that keeping the status quo as it is, we know the results. Uganda is privileged and blessed with the most youngest population on earth. Okay? If you misdevelop them, if you don't develop them well, then you have done a disservice to this country. You can even call it treasonous if you have to stretch it, because that's the opportunity we have. Not oil, not coffee, but the people are our number one resource. That we expect them to be more productive and then widen our tax base, collect taxes, and then we'll have social services. The people. Okay? So if the status quo is not doing that, so now let me also take you to another situation where we are, and we see if we really need to change to a different world. Now today, as I speak, I think the World Economic Forum has a report, dear viewers and you, Robert, that says that by 2030, the emerging technologies, that is dominantly artificial intelligence, will have created about 170 million jobs around the world. Okay? But it is also likely to cause the death of around 90 million jobs. You understand? So meaning a net gain of around 80 millions somewhere, right? But the 90 million, ask yourself this question: whose job is going? And if you look at every institution, you talked about the status quo, the existing structures, as we know them, we should keep them the way they are. Remember, those structures are teaching people to get the jobs that are being wiped out, the 90 million. So Ugandans, the parents, and every one of us need to ask ourselves a question: is that the right education to educate someone's child only to get a job that has disappeared, overtaken by technology? The answer is no. You can't do that.
How do
we have to evolve, and that's how competence-based education becomes the best option that we have. Why? Because now, depending on how you have structured the curriculum, a student will have to know something, to do something. You will know, but you will also do and experience. So in other words, creativity, innovation, problem solving, anticipating change, future-proofing different skills now come into play. So we become agile in a way that we are going to fit in today's economy.
Let me ask you, Professor, you are Vice Chancellor.
Yes, sir.
If I may take Victoria as an example, how have you factored or moved into competency-based? Because that's why I brought, at least I have a Vice Chancellor, and we are discussing at university level now.
Yeah.
How are you moving into this direction?
Okay. Now, let me begin by giving you this kind of understanding. There is again a study that we have that the world GDP, it's estimated to be around 100 million plus. I mean trillions, sorry, plus. Okay, 100 trillions.
Yes.
Okay, the world GDP. But the biggest contributor to that GDP is around, it comes from the traditional economy, which is around, say, 87%, okay? And then the rest, which is 13%, comes from the emerging technologies, AI and something, okay? And that is the disruptive innovation technology economy. But look at what is going to happen in 2030. And that's where every higher education institution should really pay attention to that. And every parent who is offering career guidance and taking your child to any school, pay attention to this. 2030, that trend is going to flip. The traditional economy will only contribute 30% to the world GDP, which will be around $300 trillion. Will only contribute 30 what? Percent. And the disruptive innovation technology economy will contribute 70%. So that tells you that we have to teach in a new way that favors where the trend is going, the world we are in, the technology world. So we need to pay attention to that. Now let me also add you a few things. For the first time in the history of human beings, companies and countries, we are seeing countries investing huge sums of money in one field.
ICT.
And you're asking why? Why is it that we have never seen it before? Our grandfathers never saw it. We didn't see it. Our parents didn't see it. If you look at countries, for example, US is investing $500 billion in AI. China, 150 billion in AI, artificial intelligence. France, around 170 billions in AI. Europe, around 200 billions. UAE, around, I think, 150 something billions. South Africa, it is, I think, mobilizing almost 2 point something billions. Kenya is in 200 something millions, like so many other countries. Now, companies themselves, Google, around 80 millions. Apple, around 80 billions. Apple, around 500 billions. Microsoft, around 80 billions. Those sums of money we have never seen in the history of mankind.
Yes.
Now ask yourself, why is it that these people who call themselves superpowers, everyone is scrambling and rushing to make sure they are developing that sector in their countries or in their companies? So that means, and they are educating everyone to focus there. So that means there's something important. So when you come back, bring it back home now. That's how we are supposed to think. Now, you asked me about Victoria University. Now, we have streamlined that into the day-to-day learning. We are saying you can learn what you're learning. But it is not important for you to sit in a classroom. No. Can you get somewhere and do some work? If you are studying hospitality, catering and something, do we have a bigger kitchen in Victoria University where you're doing actually these things? But also, while you're learning how to cook and be a professional in hospitality, we also understand that AI can replace you in a way. So can we give you the skills of artificial intelligence such that while you are in the field, you are better than any graduate around the country? So we have also made sure that AI becomes compulsory for them and for free. They don't have to pay for that. You understand? So they learn by doing, And technology-wise, you cannot, you talked about, you cannot come to Victoria University with a book. No, a pen. No, bring a gadget. Because we want you to fit in a digital economy. You don't go to the, you don't become conversant with the digital economy by simply dreaming about it and thinking about it, going to a cafe in one day and they type your application and CV. No, you have to practice. Do things. Things I told you, you know, you feel it, you do it. So you find that our students, in the process of using a computer, using a tablet, they know how to navigate different technologies. They can write reports. They can type faster. They can use AI to simplify different kind of their activities. While another graduate may fail to write a report, our student will write it in 3 minutes because they have learned different AI tools and they know how to use a computer. That is, their classroom is on the computer. Their learning materials are on the computer. Their assessments on the computer. Exam on the computer. And therefore now, education must be packaged in this sense, that you can learn from anywhere. Anytime and at your own pace. So that means, Robert, I don't need to take you out of your job which you have gotten to come and sit in my useless classroom. Stay where you are. I bring the classroom to you. So do the job, get experience, create networks, earn the money, get the degree. Now, when you graduate, you do not graduate with a credential alone. That's a given, you'll have it. But you have experience. You have a network of friends. You can use technology. So you are one graduate that fits in the digital economy. And that's the graduate that we push to have at Victoria University.
Well, very interesting there when you talk about how we can ensure that universities produce competent, best graduates. Usually at every graduation, there is this phrase by vice chancellors. I don't know if Professor Lawrence Muganga also uses it. Go out and be job creators.
And make us proud.
But not job seekers. And make us proud. Now, always ask the people you're telling to go out and be job creators, not job seekers. Have they got the skills at university to make them job creators and not job seekers? That is something, the information given, does it enable them to go out there? Because now our government for lower secondary, it has been competent based, and I must thank government. I've looked at some of those projects. Actually, I was one of the people who was first, but I've been able journalistically to, even after the results came back, the first court, I was very interested asking these students, and I've seen some projects. The young boys, anyway, that's a story for another day, who are making fuel. I was forced to go and look at these young boys.
You were a journalist, yes.
And I was very shocked when I discovered that whatever they are doing is from class on competency based. I clapped my hands. I said, where have we been? Now, O-level, I'm yet to see what it's going to be because this is also going to be the first time.
A-level.
A-level. But for university, one person even told me, Professor, how come a person, you're together, they stop at senior 4, they go for vocational. For you continue these 2 years. 2 years, this man graduates with a diploma. He comes back on the village. He's building, if he's a plumber, he's making money. You have your 3 years at university. You're moving out, at a technical, let's call them Bateko. He's a carpenter, making things around, moving around.
Correct.
For you, you're there.
And when you graduate, you need a bed. You don't even have money to buy it. But this dropout created the bed.
And second, you're looking for a job, he has a job.
Yeah.
You say, oh, you're Muteko, but for you who isn't,
those are the false narratives.
But also now let's look at isn't this another expense? Because now we know we have a number of universities, and not everyone will get the government scholarship. So for the private, you know how education, parents are paying with an arm and a leg. So if you are moving in this direction, wouldn't it be very costly? For example, like what you've told us, the gadgets are an issue. The teaching gadgets even used to teach, this is an issue. Even having lecturers that their mindset is towards that, moving away from the ordinary. All this will require time, all this will require a lot of investment.
Now, let me tell you, what you're saying is right. It's tough. But also, if I'm just going to use this as a metaphor, if His Excellency the President, say Museveni, thought about and prioritized that if he goes to the bush, he's going to die, then he wouldn't be president today. You agree?
Yes, I do.
So some things are hard, but only hard people. If you stake your back and you say, this must be done. And I believe in this saying that do the harder things. The harder things, they carry impactful solutions. So, yes, it is expensive. For the institution, for the parent, and sponsors. But the question is, what is the alternative? The alternative is, yes, as an institution, if you don't do this, you'll join the crowd. Great. You have graduates, like you said, you tell them, go out there, be job creators, not job seekers. You well know that you have not imparted any skills or experience in these graduates. You simply know that they sat in a classroom with an invigilator, sometimes even police and soldiers invigilating them to write an exam, and they got an A, and then you are judging them to create jobs, not to become job seekers according to the grade A and the first class they got. That is wrong. Okay? So we have to take the hardest path if it is going to give us meaningful results. So, and a parent, this is when you have to tighten your belt. Give your child decent education. I've seen so many students, but every student who comes to our university, for example, Victoria University, you realize that actually everyone has a smartphone. Okay? They may not even have food to eat, but they have
a smartphone.
Now, as a teacher, as a trained professional, how do you use that opportunity? That smartphone now is going to be your teaching education tool. That now, instead of them scrolling on TikTok, on Instagram, Snapchat, now they are scrolling through content. They are writing an assessment you gave them. They are finishing coursework on that very phone. Okay? So there are always ways. And then, of course, for institutions, we have to come up with different schemes and to support these students, where they can get a gadget. Maybe they pay in smaller installments for a period of 3 years. Like we have that arrangement with Absa Bank. So they come and they can pick and then pay later in smaller installments. But also collecting fees with the institutions. Fees, exorbitant fees sometimes. And you don't invest in technology that is going to support these students. That is greed. We don't have to associate with that. Let us be fair. Make the money, give the student the right education they need to thrive, not to survive. Survival is not important, it's not necessary. To thrive in this digital economy for themselves, for their families, and the entire community. So that is now where a parent and the student and the country will simply say there was at least a return on investment in this education I have just acquired. I invested much, but I'm getting much. But we should not lie to other people's children that we are giving them a life. And actually we know that actually what they are receiving does not fit in the economy they live in, it is simply like you, instead of giving them false hope, tell them that I am not able to take you on. Go to another university where they will make you better. I know that is hard. Every university wants...
more so now that you're in the private sector.
So yes, you understand. So
commercialization of education.
It is really, really something where we have also to be patriotic, to love the country. When you love the country, you don't just love the map of Uganda, you love people. You don't simply spare buildings. You develop people. You develop the human capital of this country.
But Professor, is this still, yes, with Victoria, of course there are a lot of wonders that I discovered there. And sometimes I wonder how you people do things. But if there is any area where, I stand to be corrected, where Ugandans have been exploited, is education.
100%. I always say, I think I've told you this, that if you look at the degrees people are getting and how they are educated, it's a legal scam.
The money is being
You can't report to the university, you can't take them to court for having given you fake education because it was legal, accredited, approved, only that it was wrong education.
You can't even complain of charges.
That's why for us right now, I am a vice chancellor of Victoria University. And someone would simply say, oh, he should be really advocating to make sure that he gets senior 6 leave to come and join degrees. No, I am saying if you want to do a degree, please pursue it. But actually, you are even better off pursuing a certificate. If you complete senior 4, you can even join a UBTEB certificate. Because that is going to put you among the backbone of this country. It's not about a degree. No, it's about what you can do with the resources you have. And it has been proven that most institutions in this country, universities, if they don't change, the degrees they offer are worthless. Okay, they don't give you what to do. They don't give you the competencies. They don't give you the skills. They don't give you the experience. But if you channeled your child to a UBTEB certificate, 2 years, of which, by the way, we offer at Victoria University as well. We offer degrees, we offer certificates, we offer diplomas. So if you channeled this child to a certificate after their senior 4, forget about this narrative and stigma that if my child doesn't go to senior 5, 6, oh, that's the end of it. Welcome to the world when they finish a degree and they sit down at home with you and you still support them. When a child who completed senior 4 went and studied some other practical course, hands-on, and they are the biggest contributors, members of society, contributing to their country. They have a job, they are taking care of their parents, they are taking care of themselves, their children if they have them, and they are paying taxes. And they don't stop there. They will still go for diploma. They will still come for degree. While your person is roaming around with a khaki envelope, looking for a job, doesn't even know how to write his or her own application, doesn't even know how to craft a compelling winning CV. They only crammed things, of which 98% they have forgotten. And the things they crammed, no employer needs them. The employer is looking at a report. Can you write me a report of what is going on in the next 30 minutes? Do you have the digital skills, computer skills? Yes or no? If it is no, out of this place. Can you work as a team, collaborate? Okay, look at us here. We are 5. But the job of the producers and the camera people, we cannot do this without the camera people. So there is a team. So, and working with a team is a skill. So you don't just learn it in a textbook. You experience it. So if the university is not giving you the opportunity to experience teamwork.
You only do that when you go for internship.
Correct, for 2 months, which is wrong. If it doesn't give you the opportunity to collaborate, to network with people, because I don't know it all. You don't know it all. He doesn't know it all. But all of us put together, we are stronger. We can know so much. You can help me, we can help him, he can help us, he can guide us. You understand? So we can become a better people. That's collaboration. That is where education should go. And people who end up into, this person did a certificate, senior 4, went for a certificate, a diploma, now a university. That is an amazing university graduate who is hands-on. A country can depend on this person. They solve problems. They change things. You understand? So parents, do not be stigmatized, stereotyped that taking your kids to pursue certificates, it is wrong. No, that was the mentality of the past. And people who said that may not have understood education. You know, there is a difference between going to school and being educated. Maybe they understood going to school, but not being educated. So education, we can define it in very, very simple terms, in a layman's language. This is when someone uses the information they have at their disposal to make change, and that change causes positive impact in society.
Wow.
If you don't see that impact, if you don't see that change, if you can't cause that, and you're moving around with your head that I know so much, you went to school, great, we thank you, but you're not educated.
Well, you're not educated, and how do we have those educated? You've just reminded me of Fajil Mande, one of the people very prominent in our education, who told me education is when you remove everything you learned from school, and you can still solve a problem. I tried to ask him now if I've forgotten, if I remove all that I learned. He said, because what you learned in school was information to enable you to solve a problem. Now, if you can't solve a problem with what you learned in school, you're not educated.
Correct.
You're simply, he used another word that I won't use on set, moving around. Now, Professor, we have come to the end, but let me just have your parting shot to our viewer regarding the topic of the day.
I thank you very much, our dear viewers, for really giving us the opportunity to be there, listening to us, watching Good Morning Uganda Extra. And yeah, that is great, because without you, I call myself a Ugandan educator, okay? I wouldn't be sharing with anyone if you're not there. So thank you for being there. UBC, Robert, thank you for giving us the opportunity. So for the viewers and the country, I really, really call upon everyone, do not settle for less. No. Understand that education must be problem solving, must change society, must cause an impact around you. It doesn't have to be just a paper. A paper is something to signify, to show that you can actually cause impact in society. So seek those institutions, universities or schools or UBTEB kind of accredited institutions that are going to impact your child, or even the adults going back to school. Make sure that what you learn fits in the world we live in today, a digital economy, an artificial intelligence-driven world. Make sure the learning you do has some artificial intelligence embedded in it, because you have seen everyone is rushing to invest huge sums of money we have never seen in our lifetime. Even those who came before us, no one has ever invested such huge sums of money like what they are doing in AI, meaning it is going to control our livelihoods in the next very, very few years. So we have to prepare to future-proof the students, to future-proof the education we receive. And at Victoria University, we have made sure, and we continue to prepare ourselves to fit in this digital era, and our students to be the graduates that fit in these times we are in. But also, we future-proof them to fit into the future that is coming, not to be affected. If we talk about the almost 80 million jobs that are going to disappear because of emerging technologies like AI, we hope that our students cannot be, their jobs are not part of those, but they are going to be part of the 170 million jobs that are going to be created by the AI, okay? So we have an intake that is going on for March. To those who want to pursue degrees, you're welcome. To those who want to do diplomas, you're welcome. But also to those who want to pursue, you have completed senior 4 and you want to pursue a certificate, no one should really blackmail you into something that is not really going to be productive to you. Or stereotype you or stigmatize you that you didn't go to senior 5 or senior 6. No, you can actually do a certificate, 2 years. You become active and productive, and then continue diploma and then come to university, while these people who went direct to university are actually doing nothing, because more, especially if they go to different institutions that we know, they'll come back and you'll find them and they will be the same people to ask you for money, and you have even created a job for yourself, they will ask for a job. So education looks like that. So we have an intake going on March this year. Please come to Victoria University and benefit from these things I've been talking about, benefit from an education that is digitally driven, an education that is artificial intelligence driven, and actually provide you AI for learning for free.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Rollins, the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University. We've been discussing how best we can ensure that you have the competence-based graduates come out ready for the job market, what the world needs, and ready for the future changes. Have a lovely day. May the good Lord bless you. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning